we have a segment on the Broncos being one, a quarterback away from being an incredibly good team. Which feels like it's been like that for a couple of years now. Like ever since Peyton Manning left, it has felt like they have had, the quote unquote tools to be a really good team. Um,
I
and they
really
just,
like the way the defense is coming together.
mm-hmm,
Um, Vic Fangio is a really good defensive minded coach. Um, and if you just look at, they just signed Kyle Fuller, they're getting Von Miller back, they have Bradley Chubb coming back, Shelby Harris was really, really good on the defensive line. Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson are a great
yeah,
safety tandem. Um, who are the other corners? Let me think. I think they, one sec here. But that missing piece was kind of like that lockdown corner
AJ
they're
Bouye,
looking at. And then they'd also signed Ronald Darby. That's what I was thinking.
yeah, Ronald
They had
Darby, yeah,
two huge signings who had Ronald Darby had a great year on the football team last year. And they have Bryce Callahan in the slot. So corner went from a weakness to a strength, assuming everyone stays healthy. They retained their
mm,
amazing safety tandem there. The linebacker's decent. I like Alexander Johnson a lot. But then the D line with Bradley Chubb, Von Miller, Shelby Harris. I like Draymond Jones. Um, the defense is really coming together. But then offensively, starting with the O line, they have I wouldn't say like an elite O line, but they have that threshold that you're looking for. Um, where it's very hard to have your offensive line be a huge difference maker in a positive way, but it's very easy for it to be a huge difference maker in a negative way. So really,
yeah,
what you're looking for is just to have five solid pieces
mm-hmm,
to make. Like it's more important to just be average than to be top five, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah,
And then, I mean, running backs don't matter a ton, but I like Melvin Gordon. But then what gets everyone excited is the weapons they have with Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Judy, Tim Patrick.
yeah.
Like, that's just like an embarrassment of riches. I really like all of those players. And then it all hinges on Drew Lock, who's been kind of a disappointment, showed some flashes towards the end of his rookie year, and then last year just wasn't great.
Yeah, like the whole. No, you're right. Like they have an incredible. We just went through the entire roster. Like they are an incredible team, both on offense and defense.
They don't have any
Overall,
holes except quarterback.
yeah, talent wise. Yeah, Vic Fangio is a good defensive head coach. I mean, we saw it with the Bears a couple of years ago, where he was actually the defensive coordinator. But on top of that, like like with the obviously developments have happened, but the fact that the Broncos weren't in on Deshaun Watson or Matthew Stafford kind of confuses me. Like, it's not that I think, like, I mean, I don't think Drew Lock's, incredible. He obviously had a really bad year last year, but like, like, his ceiling is not what Deshaun Watson is currently. You know what I mean? And they currently have an incredible roster. Um, and I mean, like at this point, I don't think a team's going to trade for Deshaun Watson.
No,
At least until everything gets cleared up. But there was a point in time where it did seem like, oh, you trade for Deshaun Watson, the Broncos might be one of the favorites in the. Obviously, they would still probably be behind the Chiefs, but they would be one of the favorites in the AFC. And to go next season to plot out Drew Lock, like there's a very good chance you're just wasting a year of an incredibly good roster.
I'd
And I
love to
do
see them
think,
trade up, take someone.
yeah, yeah, but
I'd love
it's
to.
hard because I think like teams right now, I think like we talked about it a while ago where it was like after like a year or two in the league, like what your quarterback is, right? And then we kind of saw that change this year, right? With Josh Allen went from one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL to one of the best. So I think teams are a little, they want to extend that timeline. The same thing's happening for Daniel Jones right now in New York. when it's like you kind of know what they are, but like, oh, what if, the what if happens in the year 3. And I think the Broncos are making a mistake by doing that, when obviously it'd be an incredibly expensive investment, but it would be a worthwhile investment to go up and get Deshaun Watson, or obviously before Matthew Stafford was traded, to go and grab him.
I think you really got to look out for them to trade up with either maybe get to like the Falcons pick or the Lions pick. Maybe look at that, because we assume 3 quarterbacks are going off the board, 1, 2, 3. Falcons maybe. Bengals and Dolphins are probably set. But then the Panthers are there too. But they just traded for Darnold. If they end up trading Teddy Bridgewater, because I think they are allowing him like look for a trade and stuff, I think I saw. I could very well still see the Panthers taking a quarterback.
Yeah.
Not being completely sold on Darnold.
Yeah, they did just pick up a 5th option. So it's like they do have him for 2 years, right? If they want him for 2 years, they do have that. But like, yeah, there's also always the idea, like, it's never a bad idea to like draft a quarterback every year. Not necessarily in the first round, but like the Panthers right now, like there's a good chance Sam Darnold just is who he is right now. And the Panthers, I mean, they didn't like a 2nd and a 4th and a 6th. That's a lot of capital, but it is a 2-year investment essentially, and that's what the trade is for 2 years. So, or the the next 2-year pick. So, yeah, there could very well go 4. There probably will be 4 in the top 10, maybe even 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
taking.
I would assume all 5 go in the top 10 pending trades.
Yeah, assuming there are trades. Yeah.
But yeah, the Broncos, I really feel like are a quarterback away. That roster is really good, but obviously quarterback matters a lot more than any of that. And Drew Lock is, I'm surprised they didn't like sign anyone in free agency either.
No, it seemed like they were content with Drew Lock, which is a little confusing. At least the Giants Lock, at least picked up like Mike Glennon.
Yeah. I don't hate Drew Lock. I don't think he's just done and never going to be good. But I am by no means like, especially when that's my roster, fine rolling into the season with it's Drew Lock or nothing. Or Brett Rippon or whatever the hell they have.
Mark Rippon's son or nephew.
Yeah. So, yeah. And on the Panther side of that trade, I like the Panther side of that. I don't know your opinions on Darnold. I'm still very interested to see what he can do. I think that's obviously much better place than the Jets.
Yeah.
Although I do think the Jets potentially are on the up and up now. I like Robert Saleh. I think he'll be a good culture change. And they have I think it's Mike LaFleur coming in as their OC. So I'm very interested in that, and that's why I have high hopes for Zach Wilson. But yeah, Broncos goes to show that even if you have 0 holes on your entire roster, if you're still missing that quarterback, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And with the Sam Darnold trade, I do think the Panthers, I mean, like, why not? Like, first off, what Teddy Bridgewater is. And they knew what Teddy Bridgewater was when they signed him. So to be, like, disappointed with that result, it's a little confusing. It just seems as if, like, you knew what you were getting. You got what you thought you were going to get, and you just didn't want it anymore. But yeah, no, Sam Darnold, I think he very well might just be who he is. But, like, on the Panthers side, like, why not? Like, why not throw that out there? I mean, there have been flashes in Sam Darnold's career of being an incredible quarterback, like just like talented, and like even before Adam Gase, he was playing fine. Like, he was playing pretty well before Adam Gase, and then obviously kind of fell off a cliff. And how much of that was his fault, and how much of it was that he didn't have weapons, he didn't have no line, he had a really bad offensive coordinator, or rather head coach. It's a pretty big deal. And yeah, the Jets are on the up and up, and I think a lot of that has to do with probably a new GM, Robert Saleh. The thing with Mike LaFleur is that it's similar. We've touched on this in the past, but like if you have a good offensive coordinator, right, and you're like you don't even need to have a good offense, but if you have an offensive coordinator that is doing his job and you have a good young quarterback, he's gonna get signed as a head coach. So it's like if it works out with Mike LaFleur, then
You
he's
have to
just gonna
start over,
probably
most
leave.
likely.
Yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
leave in a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's interesting. But yeah, I think
Okay.
it makes sense from the Jets side. Like I mean, they probably got the most what they can get, right? Like I don't think you're gonna get a first. Obviously, if they did, they probably would have taken that. But yeah, no, it
Yeah.
makes sense for both sides, I feel like.